too smooth, that mud talking to have your ass in a wreck. Who's signing your check? Pussy better do what he says. We shutting down shows. Ain't gotta put no price in your head. Man, I'm coming for your tongue for all that shit that you said.
Gonna make the heat go boom, 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 boom. What it is, I'm gonna tell you what it is. As you can tell by that thumbnail, you see that baboso on the cover? That's me, right? I'm gonna tell you guys my story. You know I've told my story a few times throughout the year, and people have asked for my story repeatedly. And so I'm gonna break it down to you and give you my profile. I'm gonna profile myself, tell you my own story, and pretty much how I ended up where I'm at now. You know, in what standings, to what degree, what I'm doing. In a menudo style in a direct fashion, let's get straight to it. There's no reason to sugarcoat it. I don't add added preservatives. I'm going to give it to you raw and real. This is going to be the realest and the illest profile that I ever spoke on. Because I was scared. I'm speaking on myself, right? And I ain't going to try to make myself look all good. Well, maybe just a little bit. Anyways, trip out. A young kid. You know, I was a young kid. Just like anyone else, I thought I knew it all, right? I thought I had the game figured out before I knew how to spell game. I thought I was the one. Cheston. I was going to eventually get impreston. All poked out peacock status. Couldn't no one tell me shit, right? I was going to maintain the game and the way I played it, and that's just what it was. But in real life, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared for the life and the fucking road, the yellow brick road. I followed the yellow brick road. The road I was going to go down, I just wasn't prepared. So here's a little bit of the backstory that I've never told onto how my murder occurred. And then, of course, it went on from that fashion. So just like anyone else, I was in school acting like boo-boo the fool. I was acting like a fool. I wasn't listening to my mother. My mother was a single parent at this time. My father was incarcerated. He was in and out of prison. So it wasn't like I seen him much. Of course, I would go over to his side of the families, and I knew all my family, my primos, my abuelita, my tios and tias. And of course, they loved me. I loved them. So I was good. We played that game. But at the end of the day, it was pretty much my jefita and me, my brother, and my sisters. And that's how we rocked. Now, at that time, you know, I was going to school. I was a knucklehead. I was Billy Badass. I thought I had shit figured out. I thought I was going to rock this world. You know, my fourth wish was to rock the world. Fuck SPM. That's how I thought I was going to do it, right? But at the same time, I didn't know shit. And so one day, my mother actually gives me some feria. Now, I was expelled from school already. I was probably the youngest guy to go to Valley High at that time, which was a junior high school where all the fuck-ups went, right? I went from there, from Opportunity School, which was a school for the mess-ups, to this school. I had basically elevated my status within the being an asshole role. And so now here I am, expelled from all schools. And we actually lived at this particular time directly across from North Campus, which was the main high school. So what I used to do was around 3 o'clock when school would let out, I would look for any excuse to be out there so I can go chill with all the rest of the Norteños and Northerners. By this time, I was already claiming Norte. I had already seen the fucking bigger picture, and I was with the cause. As much as I knew the cause and what it was, what it entailed. So I would go hang out. So I remember on this particular day, I told my mom, hey, can I go outside because I was scared. There's this guy that I didn't want to talk to. And she was like, no, what I need you to do is go to the store and go get something for me. And then you can go talk to your little friends. I shouldn't be letting you do that. But Sasuke, you're going to do it anyway. So it is what it is. And of course, I put the little feria in my pocket and I bounced across the street to go chill with the gente, with who I thought were my people. And I never went home. Okay, I never went back home. In hindsight, looking back at it, man, that was a horrible thing to do to my jefita. You know, here she is struggling with her children by herself, and I'm the oldest, man. She relies on me to help. And so I was like the fucking riffraff that I was. I chose to be out there in the streets, in the calle, with the local gang members, with the gangbangers. And my mom used to always tell me, I'll never forget, she used to tell me, hey, don't hang around with those people. They're going to have a bad influence on you. But really, in real life, and I'm telling you guys straight up, in a menudo style, I was the bad influence. I was actually the bad one. I was influencing them. I'd go over there and be like, the wind's blowing, watch out. We're going to go over here because I know there's a sureño. Now, Charlie, homie, that's he's not even wearing a sureño hat. I don't care to what degree of sureñoism he's claiming. We're going to go over there and handle business. I was just a little bad motherfucker, and that's just what it was. I'm not saying it was a cool thing or trying to glorify it, but that was my attitude at the time. I was trying to prove something, not necessarily to everyone else, but to myself. I don't know, maybe it was a lack of having my father there and having that male role model. The only role model that I had was my uncle that was in and out of prison. That's who I looked to for guidance. And Sasuke, he couldn't be there at this time because he was, again, locked up in the Pinta. He was an old school Pinto. My dad is an old school Pinto. They're both no longer with us, but that's neither here nor there. I'm still here. This is my story, and this is how I tell it, right? Bang, bang. So I remember that day of not going back, and I went to hang around with my friends. Now, prior to catching this murder case, we started hanging out, and they were a new group. These guys that I was hanging out with, I was already hooked up and affiliated with the gang in Merced, on the west side of Merced, called Dead End Locals. These guys were from a gang called NFL, Norteños for Life. And I started to hang around with them because one of the members, Little Ray, was just a good dude. I went to school with them. I knew him for a while, and I liked his get down. And these guys were out there trying to make a name for themselves, meaning they were out there putting in work. They were doing everything that I wanted to do, whereas my homeboys were more into the D game. They were kicking on back. Eventually, later on, they got a little bit more vicious and violent. But at this time, all the homeboys that were around my age were just chilling. We were young. We were very young. But anyway, so I started to hang around with this gang, NFL. We're kicking it, posted up on the block, doing a whole lot of nothing. Not a motherfucking food stamp in our pocket, but at the same time, man, we're out there and we'll take anything from anyone at any point in time. You know, if we see it, so I'm scared, we're going to get it. And that's just what our mentality was. And so I fit right in with this crowd. So we started to do a whole lot of this and a whole lot of that. It's like this and like that. Yeah, we did a whole lot of that. And eventually I ended up at a house party, you know, on 13th Street in Merced on the west side. And I remember that particular day because one of the older homeboys from NFL, he was actually getting out of San Quentin. He had been down for 10 years, and word on the curb was he was getting out, so we were going to throw him this party. Of course, we didn't have no fucking money, but we stole wherever we got. We did several beer runs. We ended up with several cases of alcohol, a few bottles. Oh, yes, the wiggle was real, right? And everyone was going to have a good time. We were at this Heina Yvonne's house. She volunteered her pad. This was kind of like a pad where all the runaways and all the gang members would go stay. She was a groupie. So she was in there peeling backwards, right? And that's just what it was. So eventually this party starts to crack off, and it's nothing but a Norteño party. And I remember, man, there's a song that I've been looking for years. It was called Excite. Well, it was called You Down With XIV? Yeah, you know me. You down with... That shit was bumping on repeat. This was prior to GUN. GUN was nowhere in sight yet. So there wasn't really too much Norteño music, just whatever the local street gangs or rappers would come up with out their dome. And I remember that was a big song out of Modesto, California. Anyways, so I remember there was nothing but Norteños at this party. The party's cracking off. There's Hainas, there's Homeboys, there's Red Paños. Oh my. It's a wonderful world. You know, Mongolians were whipping back and forth like Willow Smith. And of course, there's a Vato sitting there. And I've told this story before, but I got to reiterate it to tell my profile. There's a Vato sitting there. He's wearing a black Raider jacket, black sweater, and just stands out. You know, he just stood out to me. I don't know what it was. I could have just let bygones be bygones and not even said anything and just moved on past them. But of course, me having the mentality that I had and wanting to be that one, I approached him. Me and a homeboy approached him. I'm not going to say the homeboy's name. It's not that serious. But anyways, we approached him and I hit him up. I said, hey, homie, who are you? Where are you from? Right? Because I had never seen him prior to this day. And he was like, he looked at me and he went, right? Like straight fucking get out of here, mocoso. Right? And he said, do a pushing, right? And I was like, hey, nah, what's up, bro? On some real shit, you know what I mean? So I just got to put my paño around my hand. I thought it was hard, right? All 11 years of me. What's happening, right? I was an 11-year-old kid. And he was like, get out of here, Buster, right? He was like, this is Sul. And I was like, in that fashion. I said, you know you done fucked up, right, blood? On 50, you fucked up, Custer, right? We coming back. So, of course, I went and told the older homeboys, they're like, don't trip. We got this covered like a state blanket. It's going to be itchy, but it's going to be real warm. And we're going to make it happen. So over the course of that night, I got drunk. You know, they were feeding me alcohol. As a little kid, I was susceptible to anything. I was trying to prove myself once again. And I got drunk. And I remember ending up in a bathtub with my eyebrows shaved y todo. They did me dirty, right? And I'm knocked out. And then I'm being woke up by another homeboy. Of course, I'm not going to say too many names because that's neither here nor there. But I'm getting woke up by a homeboy. He's like, hey, we got him. Let's go. I'm like, got what? Right? And he was like, no, we got him. Let's go. Got who? Right? I asked too many questions, so I can't tell too many lies. They threw me in the backseat of the car, and I remember driving. Now, if you've ever seen that movie, because Goodfellas, remember in the beginning when they're driving, you hear boom, boom, boom. They had that vato in the trunk, and he's hitting the trunk because he came to life. And of course, when he gets snatched up, he gets the pedazo straight to his heart, right? Well, that's what this situation was. There was someone in the trunk. Unbeknownst to me, I forgot all about this sureño that was there, and that's just what it was. Anyways, We ended up on a country road in Planada, okay, which is on the outskirts of Merced. I didn't know where we were at this time. You know, I'm barely being brought up to speed and up to par what exactly is going to take place. All I know is that we got someone in the trunk, Sasuke, and we're headed to the country. You do the math, right? So now I know shit's getting real. I'm in the backseat of the car. I'm like, fuck, it's going to go down like this and in this fashion. I don't want it, right? Let me out right here. But this wasn't no motherfucking bullshit. This wasn't Boys in the Hood. My name wasn't Trey, and they weren't going to let me off the car. Oh, you're going to go. You started this shit. And this is the motherfucking thanks we get? Of course, it was my fault. So I felt that if for no other reason I was in for a penny, in for a pound, I'm going to handle my business, period. Because if not, I could already feel the tension there. Someone was going to get bopped that night. To what degree of boppalization was going to happen? It was either going to be me or him, and it was going to be him, right? Period. So I remember we pull up to this dark road. I can't see shit. And we start to do what we're doing. You know, everyone gets out. I remember having a beer first. This guy's still in the trunk. He said, no, guard. Charlie, ain't no guard here. And he gets snatched up out of the trunk. Immediately, he's begging for his life. It was an ugly situation, man. It's something that comes, it's like, it comes in spurts. I remember, I don't. But I remember that this guy was actually like, hey, please, don't end me like this, man. And he's telling this dude that was there, hey, I got kids with your sister, man. I thought it was all good. I'm just down to visit my kids. Whatever the case may be, we were gang members, okay? And when you're to that serious degree of gang membership and you're really with the business, none of that means shit, okay? Of course, it means a whole lot. It means more than my little riff-raff ass meant at that time. But we weren't thinking like that. We were thinking like, Spencer, wrong place, wrong time. Now it's our time. Oh yeah, this is our time. And of course, words got spoken. And this guy, I'll give him the ultimate respect, man, to the day I drop. I remember I looked into his eyes and I seen that he knew it was over. He knew it was done. So he actually got brave. He actually got real, and he was like, you gonna really get me? You really gonna kill me? Yeah, homie, you're gone, right? He was like, well, fuck you then, suck my dick, right? He was about it. Of course, at that particular time, he got bopped. Who bopped him? We're not going to speak on, right? But he got bopped. He fell out, and of course, other things ensued. It ended up where he ended up getting his pipa cut off, put in his mouth, told to suck his own dick. He was done. He was gone. Dirt got kicked on his back. And we left. I remember being dropped off back at that pad. Me and another little homie, we climbed through the window as to not alert everybody that, of what happened. And we crashed out on the ground. You got to understand, I was still lightweight drunk, so I was in and out of consciousness. I went on the carpet and I fell asleep. The older homeboys that were there that were involved in this, they took off. They ended up getting busted at a club a couple hours later. By this time, it's early in the morning. The sun's coming up. Somebody spots the body on the side of the road, like babosos that we were. We didn't take them deep into the almond fields. We left them right there on the side of the road, and they found them quick, within a few hours. Of course, somebody tells at the party that, hey, this guy was kidnapped. They seen him, got thrown in the trunk. And so the word's circulating. Now, I wasn't involved quite yet because no one had seen me get into this car. So there's police already there as youngsters are waking up all over the place. And they got us all up against the wall. They're hitting us all up. And of course, no one's saying shit. We're like, I ain't got no eyebrows and shit. Smoke still steaming from my hands from gunshots, right? And they let us go. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I got to wiggle. I got to get the fuck on down the yellow brick road because Sasuke, they're going to drop a house on me here pretty soon. I knew it was only a matter of time before I was going to get caught up in this situation. Merced is a small town and motherfuckers talk, right? So it was only a matter of time, but at the same time, I was going to get my wigglization while I could because I done did it, right? I done made my bones, right? I done caught me a body, allegedly. So I ended up hooking up with a few homeboys. They knew my situation. To what degree of the situation, they didn't know quite because I wasn't telling them, but they knew I had to get the fuck up out of town fast. And we ended up as young kids stealing cars all the way from Merced, California to Asheboro, North Carolina. Now you ask yourself, sounds get gun your bullshit. How can some young kids get all the way from point A to point fucking Z, right? Oh, we did that. Oh, yes. There was blood, right? We got there 10 states away. And we wiggled. We had these outlandish dreams that we were going to go over there and start a new life, and be driving BMWs and have it our way like Kenny G playing gold saxophones. But guess what? There wasn't no songs here to be sung. We eventually got caught up because we got caught in a car with a strap. And boom, I go to juvenile hall. Now, of course, a murder case comes up. By this time, everyone done told on me and their mama. and they're looking for me. So I remember being flown from Ashburn, North Carolina, a layover in Dallas, Texas. We get in Oakland, California. There's my probation officer there, and he's got the handcuffs like this. He's like, Baboso, come here. Handcuffed me, and that was it. Okay? Signed, sealed, delivered. I was his, and I was done. And so, of course, I go through this trial. I get a public pretender. They're offering me deals. They want me to speak on certain people. I'm like, no, no way, Jose, right? But my name ain't Jose. It is now, bitch, right? No, I'm not saying nada, because at that time, I was primed and ready to do my time if I had to. I'm looking at my mom with a tear in my eye. I'm sorry, so sorry. Right? She's like, shut up, Baboso. Yeah, you're going to be sorry if you come home and I'll whip your ass, right? So I was like, lock me up, right? Eventually, I ended up taking a murder too, and they gave me life as a minor, okay? Now, I'm shooting bricks. There's chorro everywhere in my cell because I don't know exactly what life entails. Little did I know it's about 7 years or a little under, depending on how you act while you get there. So, about a couple months later after I'm sentenced, I get sent to the California Youth Authority to Fred C. Nellis. Okay, my life has took a drastic change. I went from a local street hood gangbanger thinking I knew what was fucking, knew what the game was, to now I'm really where the big boys play, or at least where the young kids play, but it was going to get big boyish real fucking seriously fast. And so I'm there, and I remember being hit up as I'm walking in through the gates. I remember back in the day, you used to get into R&R, they'll shower you, throw some fucking powder on you, yeah, Shawshank Redemption shit. You get dressed. I had one little brown bag with the 2 pictures and a couple letters that I brought with me and a bar of soap. And I'm walking to dorm 1. They don't walk with you. It wasn't like the COs are guiding you. There was none of that. It was like, go that way. Which way? Fuck, you're a gang member. Go, you figure it out. What the? Follow the yellow big man. Follow the member. Come on, treasure troll. Push, right? So I'm pushing. Big old fucking afro because, of course, I hadn't had a haircut. I'm sitting there in juvenile hall fighting a murder beef. One of the youngest kids to do it. And now I'm convicted. So I get there. I remember homeboy Skip, this Stockton, Pilgrim Street. He's like, hey, where you from, homie? And I was like, I dropped my bag because I'm ready. Ain't no one laced me up on what I have to do. I just know that I'm going to get off where I'm mad at. Or if I'm not even mad, I'm going to get out because I'm scared. I'm scared. That's just a fact. That's the truth. No matter preservatives. I was a young, scared kid. So I dropped my bag like, what's happening? He was like, where you from? I said, Norte, XIV, Merced. What's cracking, right? He's like, oh, you're a homeboy. We shook biceps. He's like, you're going to have to learn the handshake. There was a secret squirrel handshake that I didn't know yet. But that was understandable. And then they put me in a cell with little Inez, the Fresno Bulldogs. And that's when I started to become educated into what the program was and indoctrinated into how we were going to wiggle and move. Of course, while being there was a couple melees with Sureños that they would bring from Bakersfield, Chale. Quite contrary to what that Vato Gil says, they weren't bringing Vatos from Los all the way down there. They had their own reception, which is SRCC. How he ended up there is a frivolous fucking lie. Or if he did happen to go there, so I was scared he didn't do nothing he said he did. That's a fact, Stop it. Stop it, right? We were like 50 to 100 strong in each compa, and wasn't no one making no moves without us letting them be made. Period. So anyways, I get there. There's several perros at the time, Bulldogs and Norteños. Bulldogs were Norteños at this time. This was late 91, 92. This was 92. And I thought I had this shit all figured out. I said, so ¿sabes qué? They don't put me in a party, a holiday. You can be so right. I thought I was there with all the homeboys, which I was. But I didn't understand the YA games that were going to be played. I didn't understand where they were going to send me. I didn't understand that my life was about to be several sacrifices were going to have to be made. And the struggle, the northern struggle for the northern cause was going to be absolutely real for me. To each person, it's different. I've always said it. You got Walters that speak in the DMs that, hey, Gun, you should have did this, you should have did that. Everyone has a fucking opinion on what I should have done and how I should have did it. But guess what? You never walked in the fucking cherry tip shine boots that I did. Sasuke, I was there, a youngster, handling my business to the best of my capabilities. Motherfuckers can't color like an alcoholic. And yes, I wiggled to prison when I got older. And yes, I did removals and all things of that nature. But you never know what the day brings. You never know when it's your time to shine or when it's your day to get rewound. Sasuke, bam, we're going to need you back. Anyways, so from there, they moved me to Fred C. Nellis. Fred C. Nellis being down south, Whittier, Southeast LA, Sela. And of course, I'm like, fuck. I'm shook up, from the toes to the motherfucking forehead. I'm shook. Because now I know I'm going into the land of the Sureño. Oh yes, Sureño Kingdom will be real. You know, it's like, wow, it's like Animal Kingdom, pero Sureños, right? And over the years, a lot of melees, a lot of one-on-one fights, a lot of oppression, a lot of everything happened, you know, and not only necessarily with the Southsiders who were my enemigas at the time, but with the administration throwing us like rag dolls anywhere they wanted to throw us. You know, I went through a lot. Those that were around me, other Norteños, went through a lot. My plate wasn't any more filled than theirs was. So I was scared, but I ate everything that was on my plate. I had to, you know what I mean? Because I was starving. And anyway, so that's how it, it happened. And eventually, over time, I gradually started to gain the respect of the Southerners that were down there, the Crips, the Bloods, everybody that was down there. I started to see real gang mentality. I started to be laced up in a Southern fashion. Being a Norteño from up north and immediately going down south, all I seen were creases and bald heads, oh my, and blue paños, and Sureño this and Sureño that. And I started to become accustomed to their ways. So I was getting hence, Ben Davis shirts, right? I started to become accustomed to their ways. And I remember going through that for about 2.5 to 3 years, you know, and I'm not going to sit here and say that every day was the worst day of my life, but every day was a wiggle. Every day you could come up short. And as a young kid, man, who was actually in there for killing one of the opposition, I was a target. I had a fucking bullseye on my back and I wasn't barbecue sauce, right? They were on me. They were on me, man. They wanted to make an example out of me. But guess what? I'm still here, right? I'm still here. So obviously I did something for the cause, okay, no? Anyways, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm complete because I'm missing a piece of my ear over here. Some of my head is gone. And I think I got a tooth missing. I can't call it like I call it the last time I checked. But I went through a lot, okay? More than I would say the average person, because not only was I a target, I was, again, Billy Badass, and I didn't hesitate to get off where I was mad at. I was the Skinner. I was the one. Now, a lot of people say Skinner. I thought they called you Gunner. See, puta, you're a transformer. No. When I was 110 pounds when I got to YA, they used to call me Skinny Boy. I was very skinny. I ended up getting into an altercation, a melee on the Yarda, which was Kennedy. On the compa Kennedy with the vato from Playboys named Bugsy. Now at the time, what I did was I proceeded to do was we were getting off in a vicious fashion. I had a little pico, which was a bed spring that I had fashioned into a shank, a knife. And I remember that he came swinging with his head down and I swung over him and I capped him, right? I capped him in the back and he moved. And when he moved, I scraped him. So I scalped him basically. I peeled off his whole shit deep. There was sangre. Oh yes, there was blood. There was sangre everywhere. I remember that day. And the homies were like, damn, we're going to start calling you Skinner, homie, because you skinned that dude. And I ran with that, you know, my whole time at YA. And that name got some, so I put some respect on my name, like the Birdman. I got respected by that name. I got known by that name. It was what it was. Little did I know up north, they were hearing about everything we were going through. I didn't know this at the particular time. I was down south. This was my focus. This was my home. This is where I lived. This is where I fought, where I slept, where I ate, everything, where I shit. So I'm scared. Big old monsters too, because that food sucked. Anyways, I'm doing my thing. Eventually one day they come to my cell and they tell me, roll it up. You're going up north. Now you would think I would be happy, but I was so used to being where I was at and doing what I was doing. I kind of didn't want to leave up north. I felt like I was leaving soldados behind. See, I don't know if you've ever been through that situation, gente, where you feel maybe if you were in the military and it's time to, go home or whatever the case may be, school, and you got to leave your friends behind. You feel like you're leaving soldiers behind. I feel like, so what if something happens to my people, man? And I wasn't there to back their play. Then I'm going to feel like a fucking poop butt, right? But of course, you have no say-so over your life. You're a ward of the state at the time. You go where they send you, right? And they're like, you're going up north. And I was like, fuck it. I was happy because I was going up north. Back home, maybe I can get a visita or two. But at the same time, I was sad because I was leaving some real solid individuals down there that I know were really going to have to go through it because crazy-ass Skinner wasn't there to stab people, right? Period. That's just a fact. So anyways, they shipped me up north with the homeboy Boo from Stockton. And we ended up landing in Preston. And I remember getting to Preston and looking around and seeing that castle. Oh yes, the Preston Castle, the old famous Preston Castle. And I seen this. And I remember looking up at that castle and thinking to myself, damn, you made it, homie. You finally made it. You finally made it through all the Bengalation and everything that ensued to finally make it back up north, man. Now's your time to fucking live a little. Nope. Because prior to me getting moved up north, the Bulldogs had broke off from us. It's well documented, well known. And Sasuke, we were at war with the Perros, and I was going to Preston, which was the main hub for Bulldogs and Norteños going at it. So fuck fucking win in this shit, right? No, I couldn't, right? I won fights, but I couldn't win the war. So anyways, here I am. I remember pulling up to Cedar, which was the reception. It was upstairs, going upstairs with the homeboy Boo, and we got hit up by the MAC reps, or basically the representation from each gang. That's the way it was. Gangs run everything in YA. Cops just sit on the back burner and mace people. And that's what they do. So anyways, everything's going good. I remember they would take us out to the medical facility to do shots and everything. It was kind of like a reception thing we were going through. And something kicked off between the 415, the Africanos, and the homeboys. I remember getting back to the compa, and there was fucking like 10 homeboys less and 15 Africanos less, and just looking around like, damn. And then they ended up moving me to Greenbrier, which was another compa on the main line. And then from there, I got involved in things, went to Ironwood, Tamarack, which was the whole, and just a lot of different melees I got involved with Bulldogs on the way to Chow Hall, getting off on a different compa. They were walking this way, we were walking that way. We rushed, they rushed. It was back and forth. So Rangers were like, yeah, the wind's blowing. We're going to go ahead and lay it out and let you fucking vatos handle each other. So that's good. And the winners were. Anyways, eventually over time, I get moved to Carl Holton. And I could say, I can't sit here and say Carl Holton, I had the most impressive and craziest stories about Carl Holton, because Carl Holton was pretty much Norteno heaven. We kicked back, we relaxed, we did our thing, we politicked on each other. That's when I started to first notice how the political makeup was with Norteños. I seen the future before the future happened. You know, we started to turn on each other. We turned it on them, right? We started to have inner bickering. That's when the Cartorce, the Carteceros, the 14ers versus the XIVers was going on. City Vida, Fameros. If you don't know about that, refer to Gunners Collective. I have a fucking spill on that. We were playing ourselves out, man. There were so many homeboys that we started to beef and fight amongst our own. That's just how it goes sometimes. Sometimes, man, when you're young kids and you got no one to really trip with, there were Sureños there, but they were doing their own program, man. They were just trying to mind their own and get on back down south. We started to turn on each other. Not necessarily to the point of stabbing and killing each other, but Sasuke, there was a lot of hate and envy and individualism and homeboy favoritism going on at that time. I remember Alvario was being established, and they were very deep, and they were the hoods, the east side hoods from Sanho, and they were very deep there, and they were pretty much running the whole show. Sasuke, I was hella cool with them. Shout out to the homeboys from the hoods, right? Then that's just what it was. I met a lot of vatos along the way, a lot of good gente, a lot of well-known hitters that to this day are still active. Carnaz, hermanos, just a little bit of everything, you know. I myself became one later on in life. That will be part 2 of my profile, my prison profile. Right now, this is my YA baby profile. And so I got the term and I got labeled YA baby. I remember getting out, finally getting out. And me and the homeboy Shorte from Casitas, little Shorte from ELC, Islas Casitas, he was my cellie. And I remember I was getting out on July 14th. And the parole agent, there was a parole agent on each comp, on each building. He says, hey, come here. Come to, we were waiting out there for Chow in the day room, lined up. He was like, come into my office. And I was like, so I'm coming out without Shorty. Yes, I was ahead of my game. I need my motherfucker. The buddy system was in play. I need the homeboy with me. He's like, bring the Bibles in. So me and the homeboy go in there, and he's like, are you ready to parole tomorrow? And I was like, no, I don't parole till next Monday. You don't blame me, right? And he was like, no, you're going home tomorrow. Board has fucking, they're kicking you out. They're giving you a little bit of a kick. I was maxed out already, so I was like, so I'm getting a kick, right? I guess I had been being good for so long that they were like, let's just get rid of this Babosard. He's taking up bed space. He's taking up our air. You know, we can't breathe around this motherfucker. Anyways, I was happy. And one of the most things that stands out to me, this is where I knew I was going to be a man about unity when I grew up. This is how I knew that I really didn't hold animosity for Sureños like I thought I did. Even through all the turmoil and the fights that I went through, this is how I knew was... we had juice there with the Placas. You know, Placas kind of let us run our own program and do what we did. So I remember the Placas are like, hey, congratulations, you're getting out. Because I had been someone that had been down for a while, you know. There was already 7-0, 7-1 numbers, and I was still, you know, back on the 6s numbers. So, and people know that we're in YA what I mean. You know, for you, those of you that don't know, so refer to Google, right? Anyways, so... I remember the Placas were like, hey, I'm going to let all the Norteños come out to the day room tonight and I have an evening spread, kind of throw a party for you because you know you're gone in the morning. I was a well-known, well-liked, well-respected homeboy at that time. You know, I was older. You know, I was almost 18 years old, so I said, bang, bang, we can get it in any fashion. I had a Mongolian longer than fucking, longer than my print. So it was about that much longer. Anyways, I was chilling, right? And I remember telling them, hey, do you mind if the Southerners come out too? Excuse me. I got all choked up. And the Placa was like, nah, man, you ain't going to get off your last day here. You're maxed out. Nah, fuck that. And I was like, no, well, look, I don't feel it's right that we're going to be out here parlaying. Everyone's going to be looking. I don't want to leave my homeboys, the soldados, behind with vatos having some type of animosity on my part. Either they get to come out and do their own little thing, or I'm good. Fuck the party. You know what I mean? I'm going home anyways. Says que hoy carne asada burrito mañana. And he was like, are you sure you're not going to cause no problems? Because I don't feel like doing no paperwork. I said, Charlie. And I remember going up to a vato from San Diego, Pee-wee from San Diego. He was the llavero for the sureños there. And I was like, hey, bro, you guys can come out to the party. You guys do your own thing on your table, we'll do ours. And they were like, serio? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, respects for that one, bro. Because, you were getting to come out in the evening time. So that's after program shutdown. All the whites and the blacks were like this. No more shopping sprees. No more late night creeps. And we're over there, all the Mexicanos. Raza, stand up. You can't even kick it. All right, we ate a big old spread. Sureños did their thing, man. Vices got shook all around. It was nothing but respect. And I got out. I paroled, right? I will continue with this profile, part 2 of what led into my prison life. And of course, ultimately my defection from the cause and all that and how that worked out. For those of you that don't know the story, tune in as I will be doing it next week. Part 2. Stay on the grind. I hope that you move fast with a purpose. I hope that you get everything that you want coming to you. Remember, at the end of the day, it's all about hustling for your familia. I was a young kid that did a dumb thing, and I ended up with some bad repercussions, man. Think before you do what you do. I'm not here to poison you. I'm not here to turn you away. But at the same time, man, you know what I mean? It's for the birds, homie, and not necessarily the huelga birds. You feel me? With that being said, hit that like if you like this profile. If you don't, you can hit that thumbs down. Heavy as the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to struggle and strive for what I believe in, man. My cause, which is the unity of all raza, black and brown, united, stand up. You know what it is. For my white boys, Woods. Come on, brother. I got you. Bang, bang. The gun.